Hello, everybody. Welcome to God Chat. I am
Hello,
one of the
hello.
hosts.
And I
How
am
are
the
you,
other.
honey?
I'm good. I worked kind of late tonight, so I'm trying to eat dinner quickly. That's when my camera is off. Mm.
Well, it's good to have you aboard.
Why, thank you.
Now,
Um,
now, don't be scared.
I'm not going to be scared. I'm actually scared, but not really. I'm not really
Well, I
scared.
wanted to talk a little bit about God and fear. I posted some verses in the description.
I
Hello,
see that.
Rick. I see you there. And I don't know how deep you want to get into that.
Okay.
Oh, my camera's off. Hang on.
Yes, your
All right.
camera
I'm
is off.
sorry about that. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
All right. So, Psalm 23:4.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me,
Mm-hmm.
and your rod and your staff. Wait a minute. With me, your rod and staff, they comfort me. Sorry, I had a cord over the text.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what bothers me?
What's that, honey?
In this world, it's almost impossible not to fear evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so ingrained, so deep, so generational. Um, it's been in a linear progression for the worst for
Well,
centuries, really, if we're honest.
right.
Um, and it's kind of metaphorically weird, but the smarter man's gotten, the worse our spiritual state has become.
Right.
And I don't know how to live without being fearful of that. We've got kids, we've got a grandson, we've got uh, nephews and nieces.
Right.
It's not like it ends when we die. These kids have to face all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Um, and it's what we're leaving them. Hey, Rick.
Hello,
Hey,
Rick. Welcome, welcome.
So, what do you think? Are you afraid of anything right now in this day and age?
not really.
Good answer.
Uh,
But I do
what?
get afraid. I get afraid of like the world being too woke. Hey, what's up, File 13? I get afraid of like what we're doing to our world, to our kids. And I don't
Yeah,
even necessarily mean environmentally.
yeah. I know what you mean, and I
Right.
can see how easy it is to be "quote unquote" afraid. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but first of all, I know, I think like I know this stuff is happening. Why should? And I know what the end result is. So
Mm-hmm.
that reminds me not to be afraid.
That's where your focus is. That's what it sounds like. Your
Yeah,
focus, you know.
I was half on the phone. I was on the phone with my niece, not my niece, my cousin, last
Right.
night with my mom, and you know, uh, this was half a topic of discussion. Not maybe in the sense that Chris is bringing it up, but you have your different guys that are like trying to, they want to kill. They don't know you personally, but they want you dead or whatever. And like, I forget his name, Carl Schwab and people like that. It's like, but they have their plan. God has His plan. God plans wins. So
That's true.
uh,
It's just hard, and
yeah, yeah,
it's funny because I find myself relating to the sufferings of believers in the Bible, like the Old
yeah,
Testaments. Wasn't it Elijah in the cave being pursued by was it Jezebel? I'm probably getting one of
yeah,
these
yeah.
names screwed up.
Well, I'm not sure whether he was in a cave, but the funny thing is with him, it's like to me in some ways it's crazy because it was just beforehand that he faced off with like 400 or 500 prophets of Baal, like about
Hmm.
whose God is real, you know, and obviously it comes out that God, his God is real, and he's telling the Israelites to like go to war, like
Mm-hmm.
they kill all these prophets, and then just because Jezebel says, "I'm gonna make sure you're dead by tomorrow," he's suddenly shitting his pants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's it's ironically the same thing we're facing today. You
Yeah.
stand up for something righteous, and there's a good chance they're going to come for you, and there's a good chance they're gonna shake you up one way or another. Whether that's
Yeah.
canceling you in the real world or attacking you
Yeah.
Right.
online, burying your business, whatever it is.
Exactly.
And I'm afraid it's going to end up going both ways because I see it. The whole Bud Light thing is real funny to laugh at. Ha ha ha! Look what we did. And I'm not a we because I don't drink Bud Light, but
Yeah. Same
it's
here.
just going
I
to
do.
escalate now that they're lobbying boycotts at each other.
Yeah, but these boycotts have been going on for years. Like I know about all. I remember hearing about all the different boycotts in the '80s.
Do you
You
remember
know,
the
b-
Million Mom boycotts? They were like the Christian right. I don't know if you guys had it in Canada, but we
yeah.
had like this
Well,
Million Mom group that would protest things and they'd send out newsletters and
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I don't know what the group was or whatever, but I remember hearing about all the different protests or boycotts or whatever. Because of whatever. You had your stuff against heck, just D and stuff like that. And
Right.
unfortunately, a lot of the time is the Christians don't even know what the hell they're protesting.
Yeah.
Because my mom said about me never getting into D&D when I was a kid. I had no interest in it to begin with, but
Right.
then I've done a few RPG campaigns, role playing game campaigns, and it's just a video game on paper.
Right.
What's to be scared of? It's because they heard about a few individuals that supposedly that took it too far. They made
Right.
it real life. Well,
Mhm.
So
maybe there's something wrong with that kid to begin with.
True.
File 13 says, I've made a rule to make my children educated, ready to fight, but always seeking peace. There's a balance that needs to be created. I find these conversations interesting about the Christian God. That's an interesting statement, and I actually agree with you wholeheartedly. The hard part,
Yeah,
at least in my experience, is that kids grow up and
yeah,
like they become as rebellious as I ever was. And
yeah. But
I
you got
do
to teach
believe
them. Sorry, go ahead.
they're gonna be fine. But as a parent, I watch and I see and I go, oh, like you're watching someone drive a car along a cliff, and every now and then they go around the corner, and you're like, gasping, hoping they don't go off the edge. Um, Thank God no one has in my life so far. Like my immediate family, we've been really blessed.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, then there's also got to remember the other thing the Bible says: train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Right.
So
Yep.
if you're teaching your kid good stuff, your kid is probably going to be pretty good off.
We
But
actually have some funny family stories about that, but I won't share them publicly just to save the great,
Right.
save
yeah,
the honor
but
of my family.
yeah,
But
but
you're right.
I must admit, but that works in the reverse too. If you train up a child in bad ways,
Yeah, it tends to
unless
lead them back.
unless God gets a hold of them, you know,
Mhm.
they're going to be pretty nasty when they grow up, and
It's funny you say that because I was thinking about Paul and how he was talking about, I do the things I hate, but it's not really me; it's the sinful nature in me. I'm
uh,
paraphrasing big time, but
yeah,
um, like dealing with things that our parents have trained in us, it's still like there. There are still things that
yeah,
I learned through my childhood
yeah,
that I
and,
still fall back on, still lean on, still do. Like ask, it's something basic and common, but cleansingness is God or is
yeah,
close to God. And I am a damn slob. Ask my wife, and, and I'm
yeah,
fully aware of this. And I'm like, why can't I just be cleaner? And
Right.
I know part of that is because my past, I don't want to call it training, but what I became accustomed to is still part of my mental and emotional DNA,
Mhm.
yeah,
if that makes sense. It's not my spiritual DNA because that's God's, but I
yeah,
still have those flesh things that, you know,
Well,
got
as
put
we
on me.
grew up, you know what I mean?
yeah.
In a different kind of a setting.
Heck, and that's probably the reason in some ways I don't fear a lot or at all is, you know, because my mom taught me you don't have to be afraid of nothing.
Hmm.
God too, but like my mom's 5'2" and she didn't care how big you were, she'd get in your face if you pissed her off, or sometimes not. She she didn't like I said, she didn't care whether you were. My dad is like about 6 foot, and you
So
know,
this is a good point that oh wow, 6 foot. Sorry, that's a big difference from 5'3".
5'2".
5'2". Hello, ID crisis.
Yeah,
Um, so uh I let me I before I get too distracted, don't let people fool you. In a few months, they'll go back to drinking Bud Light. I love watching this nonsense. It's like a tennis match. Both sides are that is like such a true statement. And I'm kind of laughing at the way it's happening because not only are you correct,
well,
but it's going to go back and forth in the sense of a tennis
mm,
match, like you said, and who knows how it's going to stop. I
yeah,
boycott stuff, but I don't make it a huge issue. I don't make it my life. For instance, I haven't watched Disney products since Marvel Endgame. Well, I've watched a couple of shows, but
although
I've
I would say one thing to that, yeah, most likely they'll go back to, but there actually has to be a Bud Light, because right now they've been losing a lot of money. They might not
Yeah.
survive,
so
but
ID Crisis makes a great point. Something to be aware of: Jewish holidays are often quite um uh, eventful in the party sense.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now the Christians taught a lot of clean living, but they were also Jewish, and they didn't look at like having wine at a festival as necessarily debauchery. They looked
No.
at debauchery as debauchery. So, like, if you're out there every day being a drunkard, they would actually just call you a drunkard, and like it was not something like that was celebrated. But if you were in that, that Passover week, or you were in one of those festivals that was like, yeah, let's get rip roar, they could drink people under the table with simple wine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, even sorry, Diana, you were going to say something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess ID crisis says it could be referring to clean living. What is clean living? Like, what does the Bible talk? What does the Bible say about clean living? Does it mean like your house has to be super clean?
Well,
And
your
what is
body is a temple, right?
right? Exactly. Well,
The only snag on that, and this I know this is so splitting hairs, but I have actually heard this in many conversation. But the temples were filled with incense smoke. Incense, and like so, I've heard that as justification for so many different things. And I don't know either way. I'm not God. I can't say, but it's an interesting point. The temple is to be clean, and yet in the temple they serve wine for communion, and I believe the
No,
Jews must have had wine too, and there was
yeah,
smoke, but yet there was a cleanliness, a holiness.
yeah. But
There was
again, it's clean. How clean? Well, they probably did keep it clean physically, but what was probably more important was keeping it clean spiritually. Being
right.
right.
letting it be concentrated unto God.
Mhm.
Jesus even said, to the Pharisees, "You're a bunch of morons. You're so concerned about keeping the outside clean that you forget to keep the inside clean, and the
Exactly.
inside's
Yeah,
more important." I'm paraphrasing, of
of
course.
course, but actually it's nice to paraphrase because we all pretty much know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Right.
um
And that's exactly what I think that he meant by clean living. Like, what does your spirit look like? You know what I mean? What is coming out of your mouth? Like ID said, what is coming out of your mouth? You know, are you saying that you love God, but yet you're over there cursing your neighbor because he's got
yeah,
whatever? It's those
yeah,
kinds of things that I believe
yeah.
God
How
really.
you're treating people? What type of is your? I'd say personality, for lack of a better way of saying it. Are you a decent person, and how you treat people, not, calling everybody down to the low or whatever, you know. I think you know what I mean.
yep.
And
I was giving a
we're on
thumbs up,
Chris's
by the
channel.
way. Something that
Hello.
ID just pointed out. And this is still true in many parts of the world.
Everyone.
Drinking wine is better than dirty water.
Right.
Was
Mhm.
that Rick's mom?
Yes,
Hey,
she's
Mom.
she's interrupting, not watching that you were actually talking.
Oh, it's okay. We can honor
Already
our
Yeah, at
esteemed
the same time.
lady there.
Anyways, my mom says hi to everybody,
Hi,
Hello.
everybody.
and everybody says hi back. You can watch on Chris's channel if you want.
Yeah,
I just
or
say that because she can't. I've got headphones on, so she can't hear what you guys say.
Right.
and if you're a guest and you want to stream it to your channel, feel free, no pressure. I don't know how well that's going to work. StreamYard just implemented that about a week ago, and it's
Right.
kind of cool. But I
Oh,
can
I
tell you
guess that's
through
how you guys
experience.
were doing it last night on what's his name's channel.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, wasn't it? Like, I know that a lot of people were confused about like what we were doing. Is this a pre-show or? But we just
Yeah.
got in there and he was
Well,
like, "Hey, if you want to stream, go for it." And I was like, "All right, we'll click it."
no. What I found strange is that he was able to pick up your chat and put it on his screen.
Yeah, they were crossing over, which was kind of neat.
It was different.
Somebody
Yeah.
is learning how to program over at StreamYard. I'm
Mhm.
putting this up simply because I can't read it unless I enlarge it, and this is awesome. Diana, can you read it?
I don't know. Oh yes. I'm this one. What you have up right now?
Yeah.
I'm an omnist. I don't have a religion. I'm also questioned how I can be nice. It's not that hard to just be human. I just listen. Funny. I'm also ordained. Ha, laugh out loud. Acknowledged is power. Acknowledge. No,
Knowledge is power.
knowledge is power. Yes.
I think he might have put the C there accidentally
Yeah.
because
Probably.
knowledge is power is
Yeah.
another saying.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm down with all of that. I was
Yeah.
raised Christian. Then I kind of revolted. Then I kind of got back into it with my wife once I married her. Then I
Mhm.
revolted again. I ended up in a messianic hybrid type situation. I'd say Diana and I are fortunate if we get to visit the congregation 3 times a year, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of video footage, and I do a lot of just. It's kind of like you said, it's just about being human to each other. But more than that, for me, it's about trying to reflect Yahshua, also known as Jesus, in the way I interact with people. And if it's
Mhm.
not like abundantly clear, it just comes down to loving them and trying to do so within basically the guidance of the word of God. Like how would God handle any given situation, or how would He have me handle it? Because there are times when the wrath of God is God's wrath alone, and it should not be mine. So it's not always all nice. Sometimes God does get mad at us. He disciplines us. He punishes us, even, I believe.
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
but love is basically what Jesus always tried to exhibit, particularly to
Yeah.
those who you would think He would condemn.
Right.
Oh,
On the surface at
uh,
least, we knew the Pharisees were bad news, and he would chew them out a
oh,
lot.
and there goes another statement for the fear. True love casts out all fear.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Although in our human hearts we have the paranoia of losing love and the fear of love being hurt. So it's like
True.
we do suffer from the flesh. We know what loss is. We know what pain and death and suffering is.
Yeah.
And like just in the child issues alone,
Right.
nothing drives me more berserk than if you tell me a kid is in danger. And sometimes that can be used as a political ploy or just an emotional ploy, but I
Mhm.
fall for it every time. If kids are in trouble,
Yeah.
but it's funny how that viewpoint can vary according to how you view the trouble.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
not to bring up a real sore subject, but like gender affirmation. If you see it as helpful to the child, then you would fight for that child's, need for their affirmation. But if you see it as damaging, you're going to fight against it.
Always.
And what's that?
Always.
Always
Yeah.
right. And if it's based on the root of I'm doing what's best for the kids, we're in for one heck of a social battle. This thing is going to go on for decades.
Yeah, but
because
usually, especially nowadays with the younger kids, it's just adults
Mhm.
imposing their will. I think a lot of them.
On the
well,
kids.
that's
Yeah.
the really upsetting thing when you see like, and I'm not judging anybody because I don't really know anybody like this, but when you read something like my 3-month-old came out as trans, what? You know, like
When did
Yeah,
your
when
three
did your
month
and
old
three?
can't even speak English. How do you what?
can't
Oh,
even
it just
speak yet. Oh, but I think of it like like back. Well, it probably still happens today. The moms or the dads that push their kids into like beauty pageants and stuff like that. When
Yeah.
it's not, yeah.
well,
You're
those kind of
imposing
That's,
what
parents, I
you
think, are
want.
the same parents like Jazz Jones is
yeah. Jazz Jennings. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's
I
her name,
think.
yeah. She's been
Uh,
rather pushed by her parents at time, or at least her mom at times. And
She's,
I think those are
she's
the same kind
always
of
pushed
parents.
by her mom.
later
Right.
ID.
God bless your brother or sister. I think it's a
Uh,
brother, right?
I think
Mhm.
so too. Yeah, he's been around before and in
Yeah.
my chat too. So I believe he actually even got my book. So, and ouch to your story, file 13.
Mm.
So like daily, I deal with these general fears. It's not a fear for my life. It's not a fear for the immediate future. It's like a fear for the future generation. Um,
Hmm.
and really, it's funny because I know there isn't anything I can really do about it.
Mhm.
You know, I can have my thoughts, I can express my opinions, I can share all the love, all the words of God. But just like Rick was talking about, God's will be done. He's going to do it. He's got the
Yeah,
plan, not me. And
And
if
it's
but
we are in
well,
that time, nothing we can do is going to change it. But
Mhm.
and part of it is his plan, and the other part is he just sees, like he's God. He sees all time at once. He knew this was coming because humanity is, deceitfully and wickedly evil in their hearts. I forget how the scripture phrases it. You
that
know.
was a good paraphrase of it.
But you get, like I said, you guys know what I mean. So,
and
and
you know
hopefully everybody.
what's really funny is like it's always interesting to me how different people feel differently about fear or whatever it might be, whatever label. I just
Hmm.
for me, I've always, always, always said God is in charge, and I don't always agree with what He's doing, and that's okay because I have the freedom to think that way. But I'm
Yeah,
not fearful because I know that whatever the heck He's doing, personally, some days I think He's a little cray cray. Um, and I say that with love. Sorry, Father, but I know in the end, he's got me covered. I've always said this. Ask Chris. I've always said he's got me covered. Whatever that looks like, I don't know. It doesn't mean that, oh, he's got me covered and I'm just going to live this happy, rosy life forever. No, but
Yeah.
whatever I go through, whatever circumstances, whatever struggles, whatever, hardships, I believe that he's still there with me and that brings me comfort. And so when I get worked up over, some of the things that Chris was mentioning, because the world it's very scary. I have to take a step back and just say, okay, God, I'm getting a little overwhelmed here. There's nothing I can do. I can pray besides prayer, of course, or if somebody comes directly in my path and I know he wants me to do something. And that's where I find my peace. I don't know if
yeah,
anybody else understands what I'm saying. And I'm not
yeah.
dismissing anyone or anybody that is fearful of, I'm not dismissing that because I understand it and I see it. But for my own sanity, I always go back to that sort of mindset. I just wanted to throw my two because I am here. I'm
Yeah,
eating more. I didn't get home until 8, so I'm trying to eat dinner without going on camera. I'm almost done now.
yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. I get you. Well, that's sort of, I guess, what I've been saying now I do it. Yeah, yeah. I'm
Mhm.
sure there's sometimes it's like, God, what are you doing?
Right? Yep.
But
Well,
you know,
sometimes it's God, I'm afraid I know what you're doing. It's like, oh boy,
Hey.
like they talk about the biblical signs, and I've seen countless, Christian specials and DVDs and VHS tapes. I remember all these. Oh, the end is going to be in,
Mhm.
1992 is the year, 1995, and
Right?
no, it's 2000 Y2K. It's all going to eventually they're going to be right. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, almost any given year, you could find signs if you want to hard enough. So we still don't know the day, the time, the season, the year. Well, we may know the season. We don't know the hour or the day.
Yeah.
No.
Well, as I've said jokingly on that subject, because of the international date line and time zones around the world, it's going to be on 2 days and every hour on the clock.
Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting. Rabbi Peter, how do you pronounce his last name? Olivier.
Oliviera.
Olivier, right? He has a little like a skit on it, a little video that he took out of a sermon, and it was talking about how the Jews have a holiday, a festival where they have to wait for the moon to come up, and there's like a 2-day period, and they both have to see it to verify the moon is coming out, and then the start of the month happens, and then the festival happens. And for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the festival, but it was really cool because his point was, everything in God's calendar happens on festivals. So he was saying Jesus is coming around this particular season, this particular festival, but no one knows the day or the hour because no one knows exactly when that moon is going to, break through that moment, where it's visible to two
Yeah.
witnesses that share it with the rabbi. Yeah, it's very interesting, and I'm probably missing something in the telling of it. But every time I watch his stuff, I get something, so I might as well share it a little bit.
Yeah.
I need to go get a Coke. I'll be right back. Diana, it's your responsibility along with our joke.
I got a question for you, Chris. You need to go get a Coke?
I need to desperately, yes.
No, you want to.
No, I need to. I'm dehydrating and withering.
Well, so you could get water.
Oh, I might do that. I'll be right back.
He's not going to do that.
But
We know this. We know this already.
he does drink water, though. I have to say, he does drink water, but his go-to is normally a Coke.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I like I said, I'm just teasing him. Somebody says I need to. There's
Right.
very things, or very few things that we say we need to do that we
Right.
actually need to do.
Right.
Right. You're absolutely right. Because we don't really need to do that.
Nah.
Let's see. So,
Uh,
Bill
final-
said, I have no fear of death because it's the only thing guaranteed. I fear any time not spent with those who are important. This planet is my heaven. Let what happens afterward happen. And you know what? That's a very pragmatic kind of
Yeah.
view of the world. And if that's the way you view things, I wouldn't challenge that. I just wouldn't. It's not my place to challenge. But thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that feel that way, that this is his heaven. This is the here and now. It's very tangible. It's very, you
Yeah.
can feel it, you can smell it, you can taste it, you can see it. And so
Yeah.
many people, that's a very important factor in how they live their lives, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And that's a good way to sort of live. I've actually heard a sermon on we have to live in the here and the now. Like we can't live in the past, we can't live in the future, and it
Yeah.
seems a little ridiculous to say that you could live in the past or the future, but it's more in your mindset. If you're always the glory days, or
Right.
something that happened to you 50 years ago or 10 years ago,
When you're
whatever,
stuck there.
yeah, you're focused on that way, you're living in today, and you miss a lot of the enjoyment in the here and the now. And again, if you're living in the future for what may be, well, even Christians, we know what will be, but if we're living because thinking about that all the time, we're missing the here and the now.
Right.
And God, that's where God is for us, here and now. that's a very big condensed version of what I don't know when I heard that sermon, but it
No, but
really
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Files said he does believe in Christianity, has a place, and it's beautiful, and I appreciate the commitment. My daughter is a Christian, so it's like
cool.
those, and this is where, for me, I don't find it's my place to judge or persecute a quote unquote non-believer. Like I just don't. I mean, that's
Yeah,
not my thing. I know there are many, many, many churches out there that do the whole
yeah,
Bible thumping, banging on the door. I'm not going to name any
yeah,
specific, but
yeah.
that to me has always been a big turnoff.
Yeah.
I don't
Our,
like.
our our job is just to be a witness,
Yeah, our job is just to live our lives in
uh,
glory of Jesus, and
and
that's
let and let
alone, right?
and let God draw,
Mm-hmm.
and let the people answer how they may. They're
Mm-hmm.
gonna, if they don't or if they do, they're gonna have to answer. Well, through our view, anyways,
Right,
they're gonna have to answer to God one day. They don't have to answer to me.
right,
I'm just a nobody.
exactly. That's the point.
Uh,
But I really appreciate File 13 being
yeah,
very truthful and honest and very
yeah,
kind. And
yeah.
we've had people come into God chat that are just like, "You guys think you're the no, we don't. We're human."
No.
Well,
Well, like
well,
there's some funny
file 13's been
circumstances,
in the chat before here too,
Yes, he
I
has.
believe.
But yep, I
but
believe
like
so.
I actually I was ordained as well, but it cost
Mhm.
me I think $29.95 and a sworn statement that I love Jesus and I wouldn't do gay marriages, and they sent it through the internet. Um,
Yep.
we actually
Oh yeah,
did the
what?
ministry. We did like 3 years on the street, which
Hmm.
was fun and encouraging and glorifying and humbling and blessing all at once. And then it just ended. It was just like the season had passed, and we stopped doing
So
God
what you're
chat for a little
telling
while.
me? So what you're telling me is the Hero Shack ministry still exists?
No, a Hero Shack is actually we used to
No, no, no,
help
you
out.
didn't hear what I said. You didn't.
No,
You
I
didn't hear what
heard
I
you. I
said.
heard you, but like I guess in a way, but like the street ministry, we dove in and really tried to like make a difference in our local community. I think we did for some people,
Hmm.
but it was like it was strange as the season changed, like the field became a different place. Like our place was in a park and the park eventually cleaned up, you know?
Do
It
you
was like,
understand why I call it the Hero Shack ministry?
yeah,
That's
I think so. It's just carried on through Hero Shack, but
can be, huh? But you never lost it. That's all I'm saying.
hmm.
We
Mm.
have it.
And we just kind of, well, me personally, I kind of took a little hiatus, even though I've always been who I am. Like
Right.
you
Right.
don't like close your ministry and stop being
Mm.
man of God.
Hmm.
Your ministry never closes. That's the thing you got to remember.
Right.
Right.
Just
Exactly.
changes
It
sometimes.
changes.
Yeah,
It changes. That's all. And there's nothing wrong with
changes but
that.
never closes.
Mm.
That's where most people get confused.
Hmm. That's true. That's absolutely true. Um,
You look excited, honey.
do I?
She
I'm
should
sorry.
be. Well, she's
I
excited. She's excited about two things.
oh my God. I'm just
No,
exhausted. I'm
you're
exhausted.
excited.
I'm
How about
excited.
you?
I am excited.
You're excited about the graduation.
Of course I am.
Hmm.
Definitely.
And the other thing you're excited about is that you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yes, exactly. Now I can plan. I can plan
That's
for my project. I can plan. Um, I am planning to do a couple of different things actually. But I mean, last night we did two back-to-back streams, which really is exhausting for me. And we went
mhm.
late. And by the time I finally got to bed, I was so wound up from talking to everybody. I couldn't sleep. So it was up till like 1 o'clock, just laying there, tossing and turning. I tried watching a couple of stupid shows, and that didn't put me to sleep. So I'm really tired tonight. So that's one of the reasons. And I had to work until 7:30, 7:45 at my other job. But I gave my notice, so that's going to be gone too. Oh Lord, have mercy. I'm sorry. Anyhow,
You gave you notice.
yes, it's a part-time job, a 4-hour a week job as an RBT, behavior tech, and
Mm.
I want to focus on my writing. I want to focus on editing. I want to apply to a couple of different places. So I just I need to clear my plate a little bit. And I looked at, like, I'm not obviously going to give up my career as an OT. I'd rather, give up a smaller job that really, it doesn't pay bills. It's just more to keep my certification up and running. And I love it. It's not that I don't like it, but I'm being very picky and choosy with my time. So I'm going to work until the end of May, and then I'll be done with that job. But I made the decision. I said it's when you're going to do something and your heart's just not in it. Although
Hmm.
the people are very kind, my client is a delight. There was nothing negative about the situation. I want to do different things, and that's not one of them. So I decided to move on, and I feel really good about it. But I'm tired. But I really am tired. And Terry, thank you so much for posting that adorable little picture on my Facebook page.
Okay.
It was really sweet. Yeah, it was
Mm.
super cute. I really appreciate it.
Mm.
I could get more ink, but I want to actually print. I want to print it out, and I'm going to hang it up. And when I redo my office, I've got a bunch of different pictures just to remember
Uh,
that.
well, she's proud of our little graduate.
I am. I'm I, but it was super cute. I saw it. And I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe you did that. But thank you.
Yeah.
You had put a couple other scriptures up there. Um,
Hmm.
oh, File is leaving. All right, File. Well, God bless you, and thank you so much for popping in. Um,
Later, file.
Yeah, thanks.
we have our Wednesday night show. If you want to pop on over, that'd be great.
Yeah, and of course, I'm going to be doing my show at 10.
Yes,
Mm.
Rick is doing it. Rick, I will tell you, I won't be there, and only because I'm going to be in bed. Literally, I'm watching the clock. Right, it's 9:07. I can do this for another half hour, and then I'm going to bed.
Well, we're gonna go an
Oh,
hour, and then we'll have like a half hour off, and then I will probably be in your stream unless Diana gets me to fall asleep, which I don't think she'll be able to do.
You look like you're
well,
lying.
before you got talking about all that, my mom came in and she said she wanted to agree with everything we were saying before for the God stuff.
Awesome.
Uh,
So, Chris, you had put a couple of different scriptures up.
Yeah, do you want to read another one?
Yeah, I was looking at Matthew
mm.
6:34 is one of my favorites.
Oh
So
yeah.
Matthew 6:34 is, therefore do
Christopher,
not
the Shaolin monk look does not look good on you.
Terry. Don't even get me going on that. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. And that is something I really believe in. I really live for that because um, if I started worrying about tomorrow, the next day, I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm not responsible. I don't worry. I get things done, but
Mm.
this world, like Chris was saying, is so out of control, crazy. You can go down like the rabbit hole of pick anything,
Yeah,
What do
pick
you mean
it.
can? I do it daily.
I
yeah.
know,
That's
but
why I
Well,
reflect on that verse because I'm always looking at tomorrow, going, "Oh, what are we gonna do?"
I
yeah,
know,
I think that goes with that sort of that thing that I was saying about not living in the future. Because if you're always worried about tomorrow, what's needs to be done today isn't going to be getting taken care of.
right,
Hmm.
right.
I'm gonna quote one of my favorite manga characters. I will leave tomorrow's problems to tomorrow's me.
Very nicely said. Pretty
Mm.
much sums up that scripture.
Yeah,
Always looking at um, tomorrow and leaving it there because you can't change it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You know.
The problem is man's society, man's world
Hmm.
has made it so that tomorrow is always in jeopardy, whether it's
Right.
political, economical, social. There's always a gameplay in the world, and the Bible warns us, not to be of the world. Well, the world is exactly what that comes from. Like in my job as an IT guy, for instance, I'm always having to look a little bit forward and think about updates and think about maintenance on computers and on projectors and all these little things that you have to project forward for. That's not a thing of God there.
No.
Yeah.
That's something mankind has made.
Right.
Yeah, but that's even, even in living for today, like and not living in the future, yeah, you gotta live today, but you also have to live like you're gonna live 50 years,
Right.
from now, because it's being wise, I guess, in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
Not living then, but planning for then.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's what I mean by responsibility. Like I know, the next pay period I have X amount of bills that have to be covered, or I know I have a doctor's appointment coming up, and I'm going to be responsible and I'm going to show up. So I'm not talking about that kind of stuff at all. I don't think you
Yeah.
guys either. But
And I meant to say earlier, Chris, nice haircut.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do if you guys don't like it, because I mean it's going to take a few weeks to start growing out.
don't get me going. I don't want to right now.
You love it and you know it.
Nope.
It does look a little. You do look a little weird with it, but it's like
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, when I first seen it,
It's easy to get used to though. After a few
Arrow
minutes.
Shack Chronicles starring Ming the Merciless.
yeah, he does
Flash.
look a little like Ming the Merciless there.
I can't do a good Ming impersonation though. Do you remember Flash Gordon and Ming, Diana?
What?
I
Do you
doubt it.
remember Ming the Merciless?
No.
Yeah, and then of
Pathetic
course there was, I
thing.
think, the early thousands version of Flash Gordon with him in too.
Mhm.
But you obviously are talking about the black and white version from like
No, I'm talking about the
No,
color
we're
one. The
talking
Queen
about
soundtrack.
the movie that came out in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, the one with the really good Queen soundtrack, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Pathetic Earthlings. Who will save you now?
Dun 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 dun.
I can,
That
I
was
can,
like,
I can just see Chris doing that.
oh yeah, I loved that movie, and it was so cheesy.
It was so cheesy. It was good.
Yes. The only thing bad with it was Flash was a quarterback for the Jets.
I know they could have
It
chosen
made,
a better. They could have chosen a better team.
well, I mean, it made sense. Jets, Flash Gordon, pilot, but
Yeah, true. But the thing is, everybody said that they could have chosen a better team.
oh yeah,
Even Jets fans said that.
everybody grimaced a little, like, oh no. Although,
he
But-
was just jetting around everywhere in space.
But no, but the thing is, we all knew it was referencing the old comics and the old Pope stories. We knew that.
Yep.
That's all they were doing by making him part of the Jets.
Oh, God.
yeah, they were playing right into the character.
Right.
And they don't do that anymore. Like I haven't seen
No,
them
they
do anything
don't.
with Flash other than
Because-
animation, and it was kind of bad.
Because the most hated sports teams, they usually turn a hero, make a former member of that team for some reason.
Right.
They've done it with the Bears, they've done it with the Steelers and a few other teams.
I think it's all marketing and research and what they think the fans want, or what
Right.
would upset them, what won't upset them.
They're not really worried about them being upset. They just like the shock and awe of what will happen, which I really can't blame them for.
So, not
Because
that
if
we
you
were
really want
looking
to sell a movie, you go with the shock and awe.
right. Not that we were necessarily looking for a climactic ending, but I guess the resolution to fear is just perfect love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
for anybody watching this,
faith over fear.
yeah.
Yeah.
But love is like the most powerful thing. And
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, if you're watching this and you're scared, love is going to cure that. Go turn to God. I don't mean to turn into a evangelist, but Jesus is the way. Um,
Yes. Mhm.
we're here to always talk about how to connect with him, but uh, you already know if you're here. You've already looked into it, I'm sure. That's the funny
Probably.
thing. Like when you stumble into God shows and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
it's usually not your first one. That's only one time that you hear about God or Jesus for the first time. Like after that, you
After
already
that,
got
you
that image already. You know that
right
Yeah. Yeah, but you could still stumble into it a few times.
times.
Not.
Yeah, you
true,
can,
true.
but you can still stumble into it. But it's like it's that first time you stumble into it. It's like, what is this?
Right?
It's kind of like horseradish cheese.
Exactly
Um, if you've never had it, you don't know what it tastes like. Once you've had it, you know exactly what it
what
tastes like.
it's like, and then you just move on.
Right. And
Well,
like maybe
I just hear it, and I know I don't want to know what it tastes like.
you know
No, no, it's not. It's not that you want to taste it. It's like it's the first time. It's your first time ever hearing of it. That's what we're talking about.
but
Mhm.
it is delicious with a nice mild cheddar mixed in. It's a blended cheese.
My God, Chris.
Ooh,
Uh,
yes, I am a
uh,
member of the American Horseradish Cheese Society. No, I'm not.
that's just horseradish.
That's just horseradish.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. That's so funny. I can't believe you just said all that.
Well,
You did
Although
not
the
I
thing
don't
know.
like
is,
horseradish to begin with, so you know.
Really,
but Diana, you have to understand the thing is, it's like, wow. It's one of those things that just makes you think about it, and then you're like, what were these guys thinking?
right?
That would be your first thought.
Well, yeah, but
But
Yeah,
there's
the problem is I don't think we are thinking.
might and might not.
well,
But it always seems to fit the discussion, which is the other thing that Diana's worried about.
well,
Diana, you're worried?
not at all.
Sometimes she worries about how this how what we start talking about fits into a discussion.
Well, yeah, I get like that's crazy is what I get.
As
Wait,
crazy as it sounds, it always fits the discussion because it leads into it.
hmm it's
I
true.
don't know. I got a question.
Oh,
Is
God.
anybody
So
else fearful of what the American government is capable of and is doing currently?
when you
Yes and
say
no. It depends.
when you say capable of what and
Mhm.
doing, are you speaking legally, illegally,
Oh
morally,
yes,
immorally?
yes.
To which one? To which part?
To
All
all
of it.
four. My main concern right now is the Ukraine war and whether or not it's a just war, whether or not we're being effective or whether or not we're being scammed or whether or
Well,
not Joe Biden is really the leader that we need in this
Technic-
situation. I do
technically,
pray for him daily.
yeah.
I
Technically,
really
the
do.
Ukraine conflict is not really any of our business
Mm.
Well, in the
because
romantic sense, they say we're fighting for freedom of another country, but it
why
gets
are
really
we involved in
complicated.
this?
Mm.
well,
Which
that
leads to
that
my
that
next question: why are we involved in it?
Yeah. I
well
Oh,
don't know.
that I say is halfway true. You might be sort of fighting for the freedom of another country, but the thing is, um, countries have been for thousands of years invading each other and taking over land. It's just part of
Well,
living on
especially
Earth.
those two being so interwound in the Soviet Union and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like in
So
many ways, I think it would be like if the United States of America broke up and Texas said, "Hey, New Mexico, you were part of us. We're coming to get
Right.
you."
Right. Yeah.
In a way, you can see their point, but in a way, you
You
can see
could. You could
Mexico
see that
going,
point
wait,
in a
wait,
way.
wait.
In a
New
way, you
Mexico,
could.
yeah.
And it's funny when you bring it up.
Um,
I can also see, I can see both sides. I can see New Mexico going, no, wait, we like being independent. you know?
Right.
And then you have the difficulty that we've only experienced once, and that was in the Civil War, where you have family members on both sides of the border. Because at one
Exactly.
time,
right.
for decades, if not hundreds of years, these guys have shared land and cross mingled. And, Uncle Fred lives up in Moscow, and
Mhm.
Uncle Jimmy lives in, Kiev. They're in the same union of countries, but they're hundreds of miles apart, just like we are in America.
Hmm.
They break up, and all of a sudden, that's part of the international conflict. You have family lines, you have,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
long time political ties. It's kind of scary.
It can be if you allow it to be.
Right. So, Christopher,
What?
at this stream, because you were sharing that you have a lot of not
What?
fear, I guess fear, and
Concerns?
concern
Concerns.
about the state of the world.
Yeah, and I'm fully happy to admit it. I know that what God says about fear,
Right.
but since I can't change it, I don't want to lie about it.
Right.
A lot of stuff that I see daily in the news and whatnot,
Right.
horrifying to me. I'm like, what have we become, and how can we even hope to see this turn around? And I know that God is the only way that it ever could turn around. I
Right.
just don't know. Like, I look at it and I'm like, okay, so like the days of Noah were pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're beginning to find out how bad they were.
Yes.
Yeah, only it's magnified because the world is so much more populated than it was in the days of Noah. It's like, oh man, like weirdos have big reach now. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Well, weirdos
Yeah.
have always
Well,
had long reach.
well,
Yeah,
you
but
gotta
not like
think.
today.
Yeah, it may have been more less populated, but think about it. Out of all the people that were on the planet at the time, God
Mhm.
only found possibly one man, one person that was even close to righteous. The
Hmm.
others might have been able just to come along for the ride because they were his family.
Yep.
Right.
So I don't know whether how righteous Noah's wife was, or his kids and their wives, but
You're right.
you know, so you have like we'll say 99.9% of the population or more
Right.
that it was crazy. I don't think our population. I think we. I don't think our population is 99% crazy.
Actually, I kind of do.
Well, not
But
not not in the same sense or as evil or bad or however you want to say
well,
it as.
sometimes it's all perspective. Like, this
Yeah.
is kind of good to bring up. Like, I'm in a situation where I look at it and I have a very hard time finding a way to vote for, say, a Democrat when they're, pro-abortion, pro-child affirmation surgery, whatever, that stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yet that doesn't automatically make me a Republican because
Yeah.
No.
they're not necessarily always Christian either. It's
Yeah.
not, it's it boxes me into position. So like, when they say, would you vote for this guy over that guy, or that guy over this guy? And I'm like, I have to vote with my heart for God. And they
Right.
can
Yeah.
say, well, keep God out of politics, but how do you keep God out of
Well,
your heart? Like, you have to follow your
yeah.
heart when you vote.
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
conscience, whatever, and God is part of your
Let your
conscience.
conscience be your guide, as the
Yeah.
saying goes.
Hmm.
But I guess it's partly when they say that. You can, even when they say something like that and they're just giving you two choices, because maybe when it becomes voting day, maybe you do only have two choices. Depends on who's running in your riding, right?
Right.
Right.
You know, so who sometimes you got to choose, as the saying goes, the lesser of two evils.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only problem with that, and I agree with you, but the problem with that is if you've ever played a video game that is like a rail shooter, and
Hmm.
what that means is you're like on a roller coaster ride and you just shoot at stuff as you go by.
Mm-hmm.
No matter
Yeah.
how you choose to play that game, you're going to end up the same place in the end. So,
Yeah.
Republicans and Democrats, they used to play off each other. So one would play good cop, bad cop. The other one would play bad cop, and then they would get whatever they wanted mutually passed.
Hmm.
And over the last 20, 30 years or so, they're no longer working together to slowly progress us. It's like now either side is just dodging for power, and when they get it,
Mm-hmm.
they use it in excess.
Yeah, for some of them, for sure, on both sides, but I'd say probably more on the one side,
Well, no,
from what
if you
I
look
can
at
see
it, in
as an
fairness,
outsider
though,
looking in.
but in fairness, if you look at, like, say, the Republicans got power in the Supreme Court, and no
Hmm.
matter how we want to, like, I do not disagree with the overturning of Roe versus Wade. I was cheering for that. But on the other side, the left looks at it and they're like, wow, that's a multilateral blow. Like, that's Republicans just abusing their power. And so to them, that was wicked evil when we see it as wicked good, and vice versa when they do things of that magnitude that change the whole country.
Yeah, but when you judge it according to, well, for us, anyways, most of us would be judging it according to Scripture, what God says,
And
Yeah.
So
that's where the struggle
it
lies,
doesn't matter what, in some ways, it doesn't matter what the either side says.
Well, that's the problem with the democratic republic, or democracy in general, because it doesn't matter in the eternal, court of God's law,
Right.
but in man's law, it makes a big difference. So when they mandate something that for instance, every kid must get X, Y, and Z vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived with that. I've had all the vaccines when I was a baby. My son's had all those vaccines. I'm pretty sure my grandchild has too.
Mm-hmm.
And I never considered the dangers until COVID vaccines. But I'm like, they actually mandate that. They make you do that. Like, you have no choice. It's you're just along for the ride in some of this stuff, and it's just
Yeah. I think they did that here, but I don't think my mom ever ended up getting me any of those shots or whatever,
well, I was thankful for
or most of
the
them.
one shot that gave me the rock hard skin. I'm not bulletproof, but I'm good against knives as long as it's not plunged at me by a really strong guy. That's a joke, guys. I'm sorry. It's
Yeah.
getting late.
I think we figured it out here on the panel.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
figured that. We
I
saw
just
that
wanted to
joke
let y'all
coming.
off the hook.
We saw that joke coming. Mm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow, do you realize I ran this whole show calling myself Chris and Diana?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I did notice that, and so I wasn't sure if he
I
was
was
kind
I
of
was
feeling.
wondering when you were going to notice it.
Well, I just figured he wanted to be like make sure. I don't know what I. It's Chris, guys. I never know what he's thinking.
He wanted to be a Rama.
Yeah.
That's something out of manga or anime where somebody is both.
Aranma.
Yeah, the
One
two
half.
spirit kind of weird thing.
Well,
Yeah.
they're not. They switch between the two. They go back and forth somehow. I don't know how.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All you have to do is read the manga or watch the anime Ranma one half.
Mm.
I will do that sometime soon.
And you will understand what me and Rick are talking about.
Well, I only half understand it because I heard of that manga anime a long time ago. I got the basic concept, and I never read it or watched it, so I know nothing more than just that little bit of facts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Terry, have you seen every episode?
I've read most of the mangas.
Very cool.
I tried to watch the anime, but I couldn't stop laughing.
So, ladies
that-
and gentlemen, we have hit the 1 hour point.
Yeah.
And because it's God chat, I really want to encourage people out there, stay blessed, stay hopeful, stay in touch with God. Prayer is very important. And that doesn't mean, it does mean just babbling to him all the time, just talking to him as much as you can, but learn to be a little quiet, learn to hear his voice. He'll talk back to you if you listen hard enough. And if you're watching this, you just need someone to answer some questions, contact Diana. She's very smart. Or me, and I don't know, I can't speak for Terry or Rick, but I'm pretty sure I know for sure Rick will answer questions. And you know what? Terry's such a nice guy.
Yeah,
If
to
he
the
can't
best of my
answer it, he'll
ability.
send you somewhere where he can get it, right? But Rick,
Yeah.
what was that?
Yeah, I'll answer them to the best of my ability, which might not be.
Yeah, I
which
mean,
may be good or
pretty
may
much
not be
we'd
good.
all do that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everybody here, that's what we would try to do to the best of our ability. We'll try to answer questions. We're not here to, like, convert anybody. We're just here to talk a little bit, and God chat's a nice place to be. And we just kind of love you guys, even though we don't know you.
And if you're listening and you want to, come on over to my channel, Cross Comics, in half an hour. We're doing a chill stream. Who knows who'll be on and who knows who'll be in the chat. But we'll chill as I draw something and talk about whatever.
As long as it's not a bath.
I have one thing I have to say, Chris.
Yes.
I have been trying hard not to call you Simon Bar Sinister.
You'll get used to it. It's nice.
For
It's
those
gonna
of
be
you
great.
who do not know who Simon Bar Sinister is,
I might get rid of the
he's
goatee.
one of the main villains in the '60s Underdog cartoon.
But if I get rid
yes,
of the
evil
goatee, will it
Picard.
soften it? I
You
might
look like an
soft
evil
it.
Picard.
An evil Picard, yeah. What if I got rid of the eyebrows?
No. I know.
No, we wouldn't subject Diana to that.
Well, my mom's here again.
After all of this, tomorrow I might just wear a hat, and just hide it.
My mom's here again, and I think she wants to say bye before we shut down to everybody.
Oh,
All right.
bye.
And pray.
Yes, God
Hello,
bless you and pray.
goodbye, and we will pray
Yeah.
for the misguided.
So God bless you guys. We're gonna shut down the stream. Head over
Diana,
to
that
Rick's
was.
channel. Rick, is that like Cross Comics on YouTube?
Well, yeah.
Okay. And yeah, come check it out. He draws stuff.
Yes, he does. He's good.
He's good at it. Yeah.
I am going to head out. God bless you all. We'll be back
All
tomorrow
right.
night, 9 o'clock, I think, Chris. Yes.
Well, there's that
Yes,
little
no?
thing called a pre-show.
Well, his 3-hour pre-show, but yeah, that
No,
too.
it's 30 minutes. Knock it off.
Well,
Anyways,
The 4-hour pre-show?
we're gonna have to extend it.
oh,
if
no,
Diana
it's not.
loving it
No,
that
no,
much.
no, 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 no. It's not 4 hours. It's 10 hours.
Oh, you guys
You
are getting
sleep.
me all
You all,
excited.
most of you all sleep through half of it.
I sleep through all of it.
Oh, my goodness.
I watch it like a hawk. Anyways, guys, good night, and we love you. God bless. This
God
is
bless
it.
you.